This is the main drive coming in. This is a walking campus, which means no cars. All along this road are going to be oak trees and different kinds of nut trees, which will kind of create this canopy over this. Right, this road will be much wider than it is now. And then we have a greenhouse here, and you see that pile of dirt next to the greenhouse. That's the makings, the beginning of what's called a wallapini, which is basically an underground greenhouse. So all along here will be fields with have root crops, potatoes, those kinds of things. Over on this side will be squash and pumpkin and things. All this ground will be what's called permaculture. Permaculture is basically the idea of taking the natural water that lands on this ground. Right now it just runs off. Taking that water, or doing what's key lining, contouring, putting grooves in the ground basically that catch the water so then it sinks in, and it will turn this whole place into a Shangri-La. And then you put in perennial plants instead of annuals. So you have all this natural, these vegetation, shrubs, whatever, growing that you don't have to plow, you don't have to reseed every year, and a lot of the food that we produce will come off of that. If you just visualize, this whole place will have parking lots along the side, all these nut and fruit trees along the main drag here, crops on both sides, a bunch of pastures over there, all designed so these students can learn how to grow their own food. I mean, that's the whole point. And when you do that's our science program. We don't have a science course, if you will. We have living, right? And so they're getting in the ground, they're learning the soil food web by getting involved in it. They're learning how things provide nutrition for each other by getting involved in it. We use what's called biodynamics, and so all the fertilizers, things we use are natural. It's dung from the other animals, and so they'll learn the nutrients that the plants need, how that all breaks down, the rhizosphere, all that about the plants and how that all works. It's hands-on for them while they're growing their own food. Right here will be a big pavilion, a big gazebo, if you will. It's basically an outdoor classroom. And so the idea is that we're tapping into the tourism. There's about 1 million tourists that come through every year. We're tapping into the tourism by offering classes. So they can come here and take a beginning beekeeping course. This is Steph's Pine right here. You see we have a whiteboard there. We set up classroom, we bring in tables and chairs, and one of our outdoor classrooms. It's incredible to be out here in this kind of weather, having a great discussion about something really intense, and then a flock of turkey walk past you, or 2 or 3 deer, or a mama with a couple of babies walk right past you, and everybody stops and looks at the animals. And that added to the class, right? So whenever we can, we hold classes outside, which is most of the time. And this is one of 3 cabins that we have here. We just tried an experiment, threw them up, and it worked well. We've had students stay for a summer in these cabins. So this is our dining hall. It's about half finished right now. And eventually it will be able to support 200 people in a dining capacity. We have a 1,200 square foot kitchen. We get a lot of snow here in the wintertime, so we've got these extended overhangs. This whole end here, you can see that beautiful picture of that mountain. This whole end of the building will be glass, so that you can kind of get that Jerusalem Center effect. Again, another great view. This will all be glass on this end of the building, and this will have a sound, audio and sound booth here, and host a number of offices. In the middle here, between here and another rock row over there, is a big kitchen garden, and there'll be housing there and housing on this side, and at the very end down here will be a mentor's cabin. So this is the John Adams Village, and across the road over there will be the Abigail Adams Village. And mentors live in both villages. So there's the students are never alone, and we don't do any co-ed. This is our barn. And it's a rammed earth experimental barn. So we've used the soil off the property mixed with a little cement and created the walls. So this is just dirt with a little bit of cement in it. We made a slurry and we poured it into the forms, and it dried, and that's what it turned into. So this houses our goats and our rabbits and some chickens and dogs and cats and everything else that helps sustain the program here. Goats prefer forage and not alfalfa. and so they love this stuff. It's really cheap, and we get a lot of it. So we have rabbits and goats and things in here, and keeps them dry, keeps them warm in the winter time. Big enough we can bring tractors in, and we can do some automotive repair and things in here as well.